Hi, Steve Stine from GuitarZoom here, and I've been working on a bunch of different songs, but I've had a lot of requests for a good song to learn how to play that's fairly straightforward and would be fun to improvise over. So I thought this one would be really neat to show you. This is Don't Talk to Strangers by Dio. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some of the rhythm parts, and then we're going to talk a little bit about the key that the solo is in, and then let you kind of go crazy with that, okay? So basically what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be starting off playing this little chord progression in D minor, okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to press on the 5th fret of the 5th, 4th, and 3rd strings. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take our ring finger, we're going to place it on the 7th fret of the 4th string, and we're going to play this picking pattern. We're going to go 5, 4, 3, and then we're going to do it again. And then we're going to end by doing 5 and 3. So we're going to skip the 4th string in between. So that gives us 3 plus 3 plus 3, or excuse me, 3 plus 3 plus 2, which is 8 beats, of course. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let me play that so you can hear it a little bit. And that's how the pattern's going to go. Even though we're changing chords, that picking pattern is going to stay pretty much the same all the way through. So what we're going to do is do a pattern of that. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take our pinky and we're going to place it on the 8th fret of the 4th string. Now you can leave the 3rd finger there if you want to. You can take it off. It doesn't really make any difference. But we're going to do that same picking pattern now. Then what we're going to do is we're going to move that pinky up to the 5th string, 8th fret. And we're going to do that just one time, those 3 notes. Then we're going to move back to the 7th fret with our ring finger on the 5th string as well. And then we're going to go back to the 8 and finish it up with those 2 outside strings like that. So it looks like this. And then we start all over. Okay, so let me play the whole little thing nice and slow here so you can see this. Now we shift up. Shift up to the 5th string, and then back to the beginning. Okay, so you're starting and ending with the same pattern. So when you come off of this, we got to do this one again because we're beginning all over again. So it's a really neat thing to play. Now, you can pick this any way you want. The way I have a tendency of picking these sorts of patterns is going down, down, up. On whatever my final string is, I do an upstroke to send me towards the top so I can start picking back down again. So if you watch, I'm going down, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. You don't have to do that. If there's a different picking pattern that works better for you, there's no worries about it. Just do whatever is most comfortable. But that tends to work for me for most patterns in songs like these. And it's pretty automated at this point because I've been doing it a long time. But if you've never really thought about it before, it might be a really good idea to give that a try. Okay, so now what we're going to do, that's how the beginning goes. And when we finally end this, we're going to be coming off right here. We're just going to move down and do a C power chord, okay? Or you can just hit the 5th string, 3rd fret there, the note C. Either one of those, just hit that, and then we're going to kick into our distortion. So I'm going to switch my tone here. So now at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to do this part here. This is the... Okay, leading into that. Now remember, throughout this song, there are actually 2 different guitar parts, but I'm just showing you the primary part, and then you can always go back and learn the other one if you want to. But just to get you going, just so you have something kind of fun to play here. So what we're doing here is we're back on this D power chord, okay? And we're going to be using the pinky like we did before. Okay, so we're going like this. So in between each one of those strums, okay, Okay, I call that plotting points. The first thing you do is you just figure out where the accents of the chords are, and then we'll fill the rest of it with the picking stuff. So you start with that, and you'll notice at the very end it gets a little faster, right? We have but then here, it goes into that. So what we're doing in between each one of those is we're picking the 5th string, we're palm muting that. And you'll hear I'm doing 4 of those. So I'm going down, up in between each one. Except at the end, it gets cut in half, so I'm only doing 2 palm mutes in between each one. So I have. Here it is. So there's 2 between these 2, but then there's also 2 palm mutes when I go back, because I got to get back again, right, and start all over. So we have. Here it is. Start all over. Now, if you think about that pattern, what we're going to do is we're going to move into the next part, which is the verse part, where we're going to be doing this thing. And we're going to be doing a descension instead of the movement up. So what we're going to be doing is doing this and this and this. Kind of like Symphony of Destruction, if you've ever learned that before. It's the same kind of idea. And we're moving back, so we're going to be doing this. But we're going to be moving in between each one, so we're going. Okay, so there it straightens out, so I'm going. So there's only 2 palm mutes at the very end of each one. Right here. Right here. Now, what's kind of cool about this is if you'd rather play it in the higher octave, you can go up here. And do it up there. And what I'm doing is I'm simply playing, I'm pressing on the 7th fret of the 3rd string, and then my pinky is pressing on both the 1st and 2nd strings at the 10th fret, and I'm using the 4th string open, which is D, of course. That's where my palm muting is happening. Okay, so I'm going like this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to move down on the 2nd string. That's where this descension is going to happen. And I just head back again, just like I did here. Okay, so either one of those would work fine depending on what's more comfortable for you. Okay, and then we move down. And then we actually head back into this little piece here. And then we head back into the verse again. So now we're back on this again. So you see, it's doing the same kind of thing. So we have the intro, which is completely different. Then we do this. We'll call this the pre-verse. So we're going to do that. Then we're going to move into the verse, which is this part. And again, either place. Then we have this little part right after the verse, which is the B flat to the C. Those are just power chords, whatever fingers you like to use for that. Then we're going back into the pre-verse. Sorry. There we go. And then we're going back into the verse again. And then we're going to go back into the B flat C. So we're just repeating the same thing again. Only the second time around, we're going to do this. And we're going to do it again. Then we go into our chorus, which is the... Okay, so we're going D. Then we're going to play C to D. up to F, back to D, and then twice on C. And again, you wouldn't really have to strum it twice. You could strum it once and it'd be fine, right? 1, 2, do it again. 2, 3, 4. Then we've got this part, which is B flat to A, okay? And it basically just keeps doing that same thing over and over and over in various spots through the song. So then we get to the solo. Now the solo is built off of D, B flat, C, and then back to the D. So it's a very, very typical 80s, 70s, and 80s style chord progression. You know, this is all the, and you know, your Judas Priest and Iron Maiden stuff. You know, all that sort of thing. So this is a great opportunity for you to try and have some fun with improv, with soloing over this thing using the D minor pentatonic scale. So I'm going to give you a couple of different things to work with here, but basically if you go up to your D and you play your pentatonic, now, there's a couple things you can do with this, and again, I'm not going to get real deep into this, but this is a perfect opportunity for you to work on some of your licks, you know, whatever it is you have, you know, all that sort of thing, using elements like bending and sliding, hammer-ons, pull-offs, those sorts of things, and certainly note targeting. For instance, when it's on a D chord, that might be a great opportunity for you to play a D, and then when it goes to a B flat, you know, you could try and move down to a B flat. So if this is, think about it. We're moving down 1, 2, 3. So if we think about it, D. So if we just kind of shortcut, maybe we just try and target the B flat right here. And then here comes that C. And again, you could get as involved as you want, but it's a real nice basic place to start doing this. So you might start off. You know, something like that. Now, if you want to take your pentatonic and expand it, another really great thing to do is if you're already working on D minor pentatonic, maybe you start playing D minor pentatonic across the fretboard. Of course, I've got videos that talk about this sort of thing too, but, you know, so you can start moving around with your pentatonic. Sorry, I shouldn't use that note yet. Let's keep it pentatonic. You know, start getting used to being able to kind of move around. Once you've done that, then what you can do is the third step would be to start expanding your pentatonic itself by using some expansion notes. And basically what that is you're not to get too complicated, but you're converting your pentatonic into what we call the diatonic scale. So a really easy way to do that that's very functional in a rock and roll sense is to use your pentatonic and add this one note in right here, which is what we refer to as the second or the ninth. It's often referred to as either one of those. And basically you're going from your D up here to the note E. So that's not pentatonic, obviously, but adding that note in gives you a really nice sort of melodic sound, because now you've got a half step. You know, that's the big thing about pentatonic is you never have any half steps. Where now all of a sudden we've got this. And of course it exists right there. There are octaves. And that's what I did down here accidentally. I added it right there as well. So what's really nice about that note is all of a sudden your fingering changes. If you're used to always playing pentatonic, you know, you've now got this sort of first finger, second finger, pinky thing happening. Not that you have to use those fingers, but it just feels different, or you could slide. Whatever it is that you'd like to do with it. But this is a great song, as there are many others that I just kind of named with Iron Maiden and different things too, where you get this kind of long solo section where this chord progression is pretty traditional in a hard rock and metal sense, and gives you an opportunity to kind of expand and practice a little bit. You know, you don't have to necessarily write a solo. although that would be cool, but it gives you a platform in which to practice your pentatonic scales or positions or expansions or whatever it is that you might be interested in doing. So take care, practice hard, and I'll speak to you soon.